So they're saying you're his actual son in China.
Yeah, there's a conspiracy theory that I'm Donald Trump's son.
Casey Neistat had you as like the opener of one of his vlogs.
Yeah.
Well, look, we're gonna win big.
And I literally got a Trump 2016 tattoo. When I met him, he's like, I gotta win for this kid. He's like, he got a tattoo.
I think you might have changed the course of history.
The connecting theme of everything I do is silly. I did in 2018 get a Kanye 2020 to like lighten people up. And then Kanye comes out, he's like Hitler. And I'm like, oh no. I met George Santos, who just got indicted today. George, I texted you, you're my boy. I stand with you. That's my buddy. I think the key to happiness is living to your full potential. If you're not living to your full potential, you're not gonna be happy. Cursing is okay. We can curse.
My audience is predominantly 8-year-olds, so we can't curse.
For real?
No, I'm kidding with you.
Oh, okay. I didn't think you were being honest about the 8-year-olds, but
Yeah.
cursing.
No, we can curse. We can curse.
Okay, cool.
There's a couple words that YouTube doesn't like, but
Yeah. No, I'm yeah.
you savvy to
Not
those.
that I'm gonna be cursing every other way. I just wanted to,
Yeah,
check
yeah.
with you before.
No, I appreciate that.
Great fucking energy on this guy. Great energy.
Thank you, sir. I feel like I had to throw up the double biceps. I don't know. Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. How are things, man? You've been traveling a lot.
Yeah, I've been traveling a lot.
How's the blow up?
It's been great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been lucrative. Everything I've ever wanted is kind of happening. I'm on the news in China.
Yeah. You say China with the Donald Trump.
China. I'm on the news in China. We call it China, right? Tremendous trade deals. Yeah.
So they're saying you're his actual son in China.
Yeah,
right?
There's a conspiracy theory on the Chinese version of Twitter that I'm Donald Trump's son. And somebody from China who's a fan of mine sent me a clip. And they like broke it down. It's like their version of Dateline NBC. And it looks like a James Bond movie. They have like a pinup. They're like Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Barron, and then me. And they're comparing our facial features. And then they have a clip of me in Times Square screaming about fentanyl. I'm like, the Hudson River is filled with clearly just silly, ridiculous nonsense. And then I say, we're going to make America great again. And then bloop, on the other side of the screen, they have Donald Trump saying, make America great again with us simultaneously. And they're like, that's proof. That's his son.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
That's all you need is just a side by side.
Yeah, it's totally ridiculous, but I loved every second of it.
Would you be happy if you were Trump's son? Or do you think you'd be like, shit, this is a lot to deal with?
No, I like a lot to deal with. I like clout.
You like Latinas?
I like Latinas. Yeah, nobody's got more clout than Donald Trump.
Right.
And he's rich, of course. I wouldn't mind being Trump's son.
Yeah. You think he would give you a small loan?
A small loan of $1 million. That was the best.
Do you ever lose it? Do you ever lose the impression for a second where you're like, oh, that didn't sound like him?
Not with Trump, but with some other people. Like I was just doing Obama. We're gonna need to do is sign a bill. Now, hang on, hold on. It's not gonna be easy, but it doesn't need to be hard. So with him, that's more like an instrument. You're like, okay, I got to get this note. But Trump is a lot of, And plus, practice makes perfect. I've been doing him more just because it's more lucrative.
And you keep saying it's very lucrative, and the Trump impressions have been going extremely viral. And I know you've been doing the cameos, but are like businesses hitting you up to promote their?
Yeah, that's been coming in, especially these last 2 weeks. Different businesses to promote them on social media. In the cameo, and then there's live gigs. I had people offer me, I don't want to say facts and figures. My mom is like, don't mention the amounts. So I'll follow my mom's rules here. But people hire me to go to their house on like July 4th and entertain their family or whatever. Yeah, it's incredible. It's it's awesome.
Yeah, man, it pays to be Donald Trump, eh?
Yeah, it does. It just look. I've been doing impressions since 3rd grade. And now it's paying off. I went to college, but I was like, no, not for me. I dropped out. I pretty much did everything my way forever. And for like 10 years, I was just broke, but I just never gave up. And now it's paying off.
That's awesome. I'm in those 10 years right now, the whole broke 10 years part.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm in, We got 2 years marked down, so
you'll get there. I was just saying, your energy. You got this great energy. That's all you need.
Man.
All you need is energy and confidence. That's it. That's it. If you have talent, that's like a bonus. But energy and confidence, people will like you, doors will open, you know, as long as you're not an asshole,
Right.
because that hurts a lot of people.
Being an asshole?
Being a dick.
Yeah, I think I've hurt a girlfriend or two the first couple of being like that, you know?
Yeah.
But they hurt me back, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, you live, you learn.
Yeah.
You know?
The formula of being in New York, being on the streets of New York,
The best.
heavy liberal state,
Yeah.
and just you impersonating Donald Trump, and you're so good at it. You do it so well.
Unbelievably well. Well, yeah, the city is like the other character.
Right.
I have so much. I go into Times Square. It's like a gold mine. You have people dressed up like bootleg Mickey Mouse characters working for tips. You got the Brazilian chicks with the fake butts working for tips. You got, you know, you got the kids from PS 182 from up in Harlem trying to get on TikTok. You got it's an explosion of all these different types of people. And I just waltz in there and the magic just happens. A lot of this stuff I don't plan. I don't like too much structure, too much planning, too much script. I just kind of go out there, I'm in the character, and things just happen.
Yeah, unscripted.
Totally
That's
unscripted.
what it's all about now.
Yeah. And people say, oh, you worry, you go into the city, do you ever get into anything? It's like, the whole story is, my history with Donald Trump, I've actually met Trump.
Yeah, and he loved.
I met him in November of 2015. The day he announced he was running for president, back in June 2015, I thought it was like a joke. I thought it was like a publicity stunt. People forget because he's been president for 4 years. Now he's in post-president. So in their minds, they see him as former President Donald Trump. But at the time, once again, people forget, he had just been roasted on Comedy Central. He'd had like 3 wives, 75,000 affairs. At that time, the idea, you know, because back then the rules were like, you can't cheat on your wife. You can't, you know what I mean? So it's like the idea of him running for president, I thought was just a publicity stunt for him to get more ratings on The Apprentice. So that night I went out and I was drinking with some comedian friends of mine, and this idea just hit me. Like it just came from the sky, boom, hit me in the head. And I looked at my buddy Mike, who was sitting across from me. I said, dude, what if I got a Trump 2016 tattoo? And he just goes, what? And he goes, dude, if you get that, I'll pay for it. So then, I don't know, like 6 shots later, we end up on McDougal Street, and I literally got a Trump 2016 tattoo. And people are like, oh my God, you ever get any shit? Anybody ever try to fight you? I've had this for, 8, 9 years now? I've been everywhere. I've been all over the city, all over the country. People ask about it, and I just tell them like a shortened version of what I just told you, and they're like, oh, that's hilarious. Like, no one's ever given me any shit.
I think you might have changed the course of history.
Well, I did, because when I met him, he's like, I gotta win for this kid. He's like, he got a tattoo. And that's a big deal. Okay, and I know deals. I wrote the art of the deal. That's a big deal. I can't let this guy down. I gotta win the election. We stood there. He's like, I gotta win the election next year for this kid. And the rest is history.
So do you think he's going to win again, personally?
Of
course, there's a chance with anything, right?
I don't want to, because if I say no and he does, then I look like an idiot. If I say yes and he doesn't, I think he definitely has a shot.
Yeah. In a weird way, I'm asking, are you going to get a Trump 2024 tattoo, and is it going to come true?
No, I could never get a Trump 2024 tattoo, because this, once again, it's organic. This happened organically. And this was just silly. People are like, are you going to cross it off and put a 24? I'm like, that takes away the magic from that moment. This was a moment that I'll never forget. Yeah. I met the guy who became president. If I got a Trump 2024, that's like when the sequel comes out. That would be like Hangover 2. Hangover 2 sucked. I did in 2018 get a Kanye 2020, and now this one's more controversial than this one.
Is it? Wait, I can't see. Is it really?
Kanye 2020. Yeah, this was to like lighten people up. Like, look, here, I got Kanye. Kanye was always like if anybody was like, Trump, huh? I'm like, I got Kanye. Yeah. Oh, we all love Kanye. And then Kanye comes out, he's like Hitler. And I'm like, oh no. My arm. But once again, I explain that and people just laugh. I don't know.
So people don't get offended at the tattoo ever. Do people get offended when you're on the streets of New York impersonating Trump? Some people can't take a joke. We know this, right?
So I'll get some dirty looks, but I've never gotten like a physical altercation or anybody really coming at me. And I do it on the train sometimes, the subway, the New York
Terrifying
City
place.
public transit system. And it's just,
I feel like you would be very good in most comedians, but you would be really good at like de-escalating with comedy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I worked at a moving company for years. I was always the foreman. And a lot of these guys had just gotten out of prison. Like, that's the go-to job for ex-cons. And here I am, just a comedian with like this guy who just did 10 years. I don't even know what for. And I'm managing all these personalities. But yeah, I was really good at just getting everybody to just get along. I'd make them laugh. Da-da-da-da-da.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just get these boxes up these stairs, get tipped, and get out of here. So, yeah,
So you do a lot of stand-up comedy, and the impression with Trump has just, gone extremely viral, especially in short form content.
Yeah.
Now you have the Donald J. Trump podcast, which honestly, I was watching a study for this podcast and study for our mockumentary interview after this or tomorrow. And it's fucking hilarious. Bro.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. I had been doing these little clips, and then, you have a podcast and I have friends who've gone on, I won't mention their names, but people who are really successful now, making millions of dollars. And I was like, what if I just combine my skills with the Trump impression and turned it into a podcast? What I love about the Donald J. Trump podcast is, whenever I just say the Donald J. Trump podcast, everybody their cheeks go up. It's just from the jump. Yeah. They're like, what? The Donald Trump podcast? And you do, huh? So the curiosity is like, and then people check it out, and it's silly, it's crazy. When I started out, there were no sponsors, so I made up fake sponsors.
I was going to ask, because there was like Trump Brain.
Well, Trump Brain, like, Alex Jones has his brain force, and Joe Rogan has
probably like lion mane.
Yeah, all that stuff. So I
greens.
made up Trump Brain, and I'm like, but you have to be dumber than me, because if you're my intelligence and you take it, you'll die, because Trump Brain makes you smarter. But if you're already as smart as me, which very few people are, but if you are, you'll take it and you'll immediately have an aneurysm and die. And then I was, have you ever heard of Wrap Snacks?
Yes.
They're potato chips with wrappers on them, and they're called Wrap Snacks.
Yes.
So they have the Biggie Smalls Wrap Snacks. They have, the Lil Baby, everything from back in the 80s, 90s till now. They have a Lil Boosie, Louisiana Heat. That was the one that I saw in a store, and I'm like, it's just all, like the tattoo idea, it just came to me, and I'm like, that's going to be a sponsor. So I'm like, we're sponsored very strongly by Wrap Snacks, specifically Little Boosie's Louisiana Heat. Do we love Little Boosie? We love Little Boosie.
Didn't Trump free Bobby Shmurda?
Yeah,
or did he free?
I don't think he freed Bobby Shmurda, but he freed a lot of rappers, which was so funny.
Bro, he was loved by hip hop culture before the...
Yeah, I mean, you hear everybody say that. It's all cliche. Everything's cliche. I just think that, but I guess things changed and there's perceptions or whatever. The podcast isn't even political. It's just
pokes fun.
It's just, not even poke fun. It's absurd. The whole world has become so absurd that the Trump podcast is just, I think, a continuation of that.
No, I'm going to get all my news from your Donald J. Trump podcast. That's where I'm going to consume any.
And maybe I'll sneak some points in there, not even political points, just stuff about, like, if I talk about, like, Barron, we caught him with the vape. So I took him to the hood, the ghetto, and I said, look, they're all strung out on heroin, and they all started with vape, right? We call it vape. And, just little stupid shit, but, that's the bad example of an actual lesson. But there are some things I try to give it, because I want it to, and it keeps growing, and
it's dope.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
It's, it's never going to go away. It's always going to be an avenue of content.
Oh, yeah.
It's a skill you have. Speaking of skill you have, 3rd grade doing impressions, that's an early start to like start a comedy career almost.
Yeah.
What was the first impression? And like,
George W. Bush.
So just straight presidential. I like it.
Yeah. I guess back then, I didn't even think of that. No, I would watch Saturday Night Live, and I would watch Daryl Hammond. He's like my idol when it comes to impressions.
Welcome back to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Because it wasn't just an imitation. There was something in his eyeballs where he made you didn't even have to know who the person was. Like, I didn't know who Regis Philbin was at like 9, but the way he did Regis, I'm like, that's funny. And so that's what, and I just loved how he was able to become another person. So I went to school and I would start doing them, and they weren't even good, but I would do them and kids would laugh. But then when I got to middle school, my voice changed a little bit and they started to get good. And then the rest is history. I just never stopped.
So you started with impressions and then you started doing comedy stand-up after that?
Yes. Yeah, after I graduated high school. I looked at it as like a job. It's like, okay, I graduate and then I'll start. So then that summer I went to an open mic and the rest is history.
Do you have any close comedy friends that pit you on game a lot?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's how you get ahead in the comedy
Right.
game. It's literally,
Is the New York scene your scene?
Yeah, not as much as before. I'm doing more of the road now because you could easily get caught up in New York. For many years, I was doing all the clubs in New York. I was known in New York, but I'd done a little TV. I got on the Dana Carvey First Impression show. He had an impersonation contest show. I did a pilot with Wanda Sykes, but I wasn't known in wider than New York until I got on TikTok. And then more recently, I really blew up like a month ago when Trump got indicted. That was like the big thing for me.
This episode is sponsored by Rebel. Rebel has a smell-proof bag that's not only smell-proof, but it comes with a built-in rolling tray. We got 4 Ziploc baggies, a UV glass stash jar, and two doob tubes. Not only does it have all of those accessories and is completely smell-proof, it also has a TSA grade combination lock, so no one can open this unless you want them to. You'd have to tell them their code. My code's 000 because I'm an idiot. We love this bag. This bag is literally the best. We use it everywhere. Mr. Go Get the Gas uses it. And not only that, you know we're all about saving money. We got a code for you. WETSLAP10 for 10% off your purchase. WETSLAP10. Also, there's a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you don't like the bag, send it back. You will love the bag. Also, there's a lifetime warranty. If something happens with the bag, you let them know. They'll take care of you. These are selling fast. We have this ad read a lot. These are flying off the shelves. If they're on shelves, they might not be on shelves. They might be on a floor or in a box. They're flying out of a box. Thank you, Rebel, for sponsoring this episode. As always, love you guys. Back to the program.
Casey Neistat had you as like the opener of one of his vlogs.
Well, look, we're gonna win big. We're gonna win big, and it's all fake news.
Yeah, I saw Casey, and well, really, we saw each other, and everybody who had a camera there was like Trump wig glued to me, and I just sort of seized the moment, and I was like, I spoke to him for a few seconds before. I'm like, I'm a big fan of yours. I love your stuff. And he's like, just, yeah, man, just go ahead, do it. Do some stuff for the camera.
Canon 90D, just holding it.
Yeah.
You know?
And I spoke to his people, and they actually messaged me after. They're like, Casey's going to post, you're in his video today. And I gave them my info, and they tagged me. Super cool. It was crazy. That day, the atmosphere there was like being on mushrooms. I don't know if you've ever done mushrooms or any sort of hallucinogenic anything. The atmosphere, it was similar to when I first met Trump. The energy around him is always larger than life, insane. But I mean, there was hundreds of media people, hundreds of cops, hundreds of anti-Trump people, hundreds of pro-Trump people, all in this tiny little park across the street from the courthouse. And everyone's screaming at each other. There's Antifa, and then there's all the whack jobs that have nothing to do, don't believe in either side, but they just gravitate towards, oh, look, what's all that fuss? And it's New York, so yeah, it's going to be, and I'm just in the middle of it getting content. And it was amazing. It was like mind-blowing.
I noticed you kind of float in and out of it on accident. Are you Donald Trump so much that you're losing Jason Scoop a little bit?
Yeah, that
like
happens.
In your soul?
That happens. I remember, this is going to sound insane, but in middle school, I started watching Seinfeld, and I started to do a Kramer impression. Oh, yeah.
Love Seinfeld.
And I literally started to, middle school, you're figuring out who you are. I got lost in Kramer. And I would literally like slide into class and everything. And it wasn't until he had like his racism scandal at the Laugh Factory. I don't know if the audience is old enough to remember, but he had a racism scandal. And I was like, oh no. Well, he screamed the N-word at the Laugh Factory while performing comedy on stage. And then I was like, uh-oh. And I dropped the Kramer impression. And I'm like, I always think if that didn't happen, would I still be Kramer? I might have
He might have saved you in a weird roundabout way.
Yeah.
Racism saves.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
once in a while.
Sometimes it says like that Chappelle joke. He this, but he saves. He saves.
You said you did a couple shows. I know you were on First Impressions, and you won $10,000.
Yeah, I won $10,000. It was gone in 3 weeks.
I was gonna say, what'd you spend it on?
Honestly, just booze and Ubers. I bought like 3 tangible items, like a pair of shoes and jeans. Everything else went to alcohol. I thought I was rich. I'm like, I'm rich. And I was buying like everything top shelf. I was buying all my friends. I was an idiot. I was like 25 at the time. If that happened now, I would, put it on the S&P 500 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was an idiot.
Yeah. I mean, Ubers cost too much nowadays.
Yeah, especially in New York.
Yeah. And they can never find you, I feel like. They do a good job for what the madness of. I've been to New York once.
Yeah. You should come
I went
back.
on the subway like six to seven times.
Mm-hmm.
And every single time, like one guy was like recording my girlfriend with his phone. I did a staring contest with this homeless guy face to face. This construction worker like told me to get up off my seat, and I wasn't gonna get out of my seat.
Yeah. Good.
And I was
stand your
like,
ground.
I'm like, do people pick on me for a reason? Like, why? Do they know I'm not from New York?
You could always tell when someone's not from New York.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is, but you could just tell. Did you overall hate the experience or?
No, the food was amazing.
Yeah.
But the subway, that's how I commuted.
Right.
And I'll be honest, the subway really did creep me the fuck. I was
How
so
long
I
ago
feel like
was
a pussy.
this?
This was 5 or 6 months ago. Maybe no, more like 8 months. 8 months.
Okay. I thought you were
Yeah.
going to say 5 or 6 years. And then I was
No.
going to say that was heaven compared to what it is. Okay,
No,
so
it's
this
bad
was
now.
recent. No, yeah, the subway is and people who hate on New York, like for political reasons, and they're like, no, it's just a hellhole. And it's like, it's not as bad as people think, but it's certainly, crime has skyrocketed. And the quality of life has gone down, but it's still awesome. There's still an energy there. There's still an
Yes.
ambition there. Most people have like 3, 4, 5, 6 jobs. Everyone's hustling. Everyone's motivated. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like, that's the place to be.
There was a lot of beautiful things about New York.
A lot of beautiful people. There's a lot of beautiful ladies in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gay, so I don't.
Are you really?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
But thank you, though. That was very nice.
fooled
of
me.
you.
You got me. That's
You
good.
said it in such a nice way. You're like, oh, okay, good for you.
I love gay. Gay is in. Gay is in.
I just was talking about this with them. I was like, if I was gay, my podcast would be huge right now.
Gay is huge. I actually pretended to be gay on Facebook in 2019.
Pretended.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. And I love talking about this because, first off, pretending to be gay. I got the idea from this rapper Daylight, who was a battle rapper. And he's like, yo, I just started to pretend to be gay. He's like, because they got all the power right now. And I started winning every rap battle because I would talk about sucking dicks and shit. And this goes back to with the tattoo. People think, oh my God, I'm sure you got beat up. I guess I'm immune to almost every social rule these days because pretty much nobody got offended. But I was kind of trolling how weird things had gotten. I did this in 2019, early 2019. And there was a gay guy who was super, super woke. Like woke. Like woke. And he was like, you're not gay. You have a girlfriend. And I typed back, I said, do you mean to tell me that in 2019, I can't be gay and have a girlfriend? And I trolled him so hard because I knew how he thought. He was like, oh my God, you know what? You're right. I'm so sorry. Like, that's how crazy the wokeness had gotten. But no, this gay comic even wanted to book me on a gay show. He ended up not doing it because he thought, which rightfully so, that he might have gotten some blowback. But it was just, I was just being silly. The connecting theme of everything I do is silly. I don't have any, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to make fun of serious people.
Right. And you don't even have to say that because you don't even have to when you watch your stuff, it's like, yeah, it's just silly.
Yeah.
But it's very rare that people don't take a simple joke as a joke.
Yeah, but it plays into my favor. Like if I do Biden, like if I make fun of Biden, if I do a Biden impression, super hardcore Democrat people get angry. If I do Trump, some people who like Trump are like, oh, okay. But some people who like Trump or think I'm making fun of him. And then I have Democrats and Republicans arguing in the comments. I never chime in. And I'll just comment. And it adds hundreds, sometimes thousands of comments, which boosts my videos. You ever heard of 48 Laws of Power?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah, smart guy.
Mhm.
Don't commit. He says, only a fool rushes to take a side. He goes, if you play it neutral, both sides compete for your affection and you become the master of others. So, my only allegiance is to funny.
Yeah.
That's it.
There's a law in that book saying enemies make the best of friends, or
Use your
become-
enemies.
use
If
your-
you don't have enemies, make some, because they say friends end up getting jealous. They end up becoming a hater. But an enemy who was an enemy, who you are like, all right, no, you good.
now you respect each
They'll
other.
always feel insecure because at one point they were an enemy. So they'll try extra hard for your acceptance. And yeah.
I think on a broad scale, I mean, some of the most successful internet celebrities, content creators, Logan Paul and KSI. Let's be enemies, talk shit about each other's families, do these boxing events that sell. People want to see people fight.
Yeah.
UFC is huge. It's fun to watch people fight. Fighting videos on Twitter, eat it up.
Yeah.
Cool. Subway videos, eat it up. And then after they're done fighting, let's join forces and then make trillions or millions of dollars selling a Gatorade, glorified Gatorade.
Right. And people
Yeah.
keep falling for it. Like a lot of these beefs, like you said, are like orchestrated.
Yeah.
Like rap beefs. Like, do you think Gajillionaire, when Kanye and Drake were beefing, do you think either of them were really mad at each other? They were trying to sell records.
Yeah.
Which I guess has changed from the 90s, because back in the 90s, they really did kill each other. But then people wisened up and they're like, oh, we don't have to kill each other.
It's true.
Just make money.
It was always West versus East.
Yeah.
It was always and that's before my time. So I never got to live through that. But in the NBA, it's funny how the NBA set up West versus East and our sports are set up regionally.
Yeah.
And then gangs just kind of followed with that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the West Side, they can all catch a bullet.
Right.
Should I say that? Will that get me monetized? Demonetized?
We get at it.
I went to California once. What do you like California?
I love Los Angeles.
What part of it? Just in general?
Just like Hollywood, and every time I'm there, good things happen. I went there, I auditioned for First Impressions. I got it. I went back. I won $10,000. I did the Wanda Sykes show. That night, I was on a show with Dave Chappelle. Just all these amazing experiences. I also find, and I'm going to sound cocky saying this, but LA, they're really laid back. It's all about New York. Everything's quick. So if a New Yorker goes to LA, you could just clean up with everything because you're so used to like wheeling and dealing that it's like, oh my God, it's like taking candy from a baby down here. But I love it. I love the weather. I love the lack of humidity, which is one issue. Florida's dope.
Yeah, no
That's
liquid.
the one thing Florida, it's like a smack in the face with the humidity. But
Yeah, there's times I leave my house and I just sit in my car and boom, back sweat.
Mm-hmm. Back sweat, butt sweat, all types of sweat.
Yeah.
But it happens.
Yeah. So what's next for you? Meaning the Donald J. Trump podcast is, it's gaining a lot of viewership.
Mm-hmm.
The clips are always going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
The 2024 election's happening, so
Yeah.
you're very relevant.
Yeah.
So just keep with this for the impressions. But what's your end goal? Is there an end goal in mind?
So my answer to your question, because I used to have I want SNL, I want this, I want that. My answer to your question goes back to one of the first things I brought up, which was you go out into Times Square. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but let's see. The tattoo. Literally, once again, I very purposefully said it just came to me. It was as if the idea was like smacked into my head. So what I'd say this is I'm done having these overarching goals. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and have the faith that good things will continue to happen. I met George Santos, who just got indicted today. George, I texted you. You're my boy. I stand with you, George. Congressman George Santos. known as the serial lying congressman.
What happened with him? Why is he indicted?
Well, once he shows up in court, they say they're going to unseal it. Right now, it's a sealed indictment, so we don't know. But that's my buddy. And, you know, I ended up meeting him through people that I met through doing a live Trump gig. And then I meet Santos, and we hit it off, and he invites me to the Capitol. Next thing you know, I'm in the Capitol of the United States with George Santos, the alleged serial lying congressman, and I get a video from him and things just explode even further. So that's what I mean when I say, like, I didn't wake up that morning being like, I'm going to meet Congressman George Santos, and then he's going to invite me to the Capitol of the United States, and then I'm going to get whatever notoriety. It just happened. So
That's how this business works for sure.
yeah,
Just the creative business,
yeah,
comedy creation.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden you'll get an email.
yeah, exactly. Like this.
Hey,
You
saw the
emailed me
video.
to do your podcast.
Dude,
and now
you
I'm in.
answered so quickly, and I was like, yes, this is dope.
I'm always on the ball.
so fun to collab with people who
Yeah.
want to collab.
I'm always on the wall. And like I say, I believe in just working hard and whatever's going to happen, but funny leads the way.
Yeah.
Funny leads the way. It's like, oh, this company wants me to sponsor their video, but I can never forget to keep making funny videos because that's what the viewers and the subscribers and everything came from in the first place. So,
When's the Joe Rogan episode happening?
hey, we'll see.
Yeah.
We shall see.
That's an email.
that's
that'll pop
another
up.
email.
Yeah. Do you know if Joe outreaches, or do people just
No, it's like a Saturday Night Live thing. And they've seen me. They saw me the year that I did the Dana Carvey show. I was and what I mean is how I tie it into the Joe Rogan thing is things that big. It's not just like you got to be around and make your way to them. You have to be almost somewhat obviously established for Rogan or whatever. But I had this 5-minute showcase for Saturday Night Live, which was like a pre-audition. And it was in front of a live audience, and I was working out my 5 minutes all over the city. And every time I did my 5 minutes, audiences were just dying. I've never heard laughs that loud. And everybody was like, dude, you're going to get it. You're going to get SNL. This is crazy. Your life's going to change. And then the showcase, it was an all live audience. They were from this college right next door. I think it was like Pace or something. And college students are known for being extra sensitive with comedy. And they just weren't feeling it. I had a joke where I have a character who was a terrorist who quit. He quit terror and he became a motivational speaker. So I come out and I do the accent. The second I did the accent, they were like, that's inappropriate. How could you do an accent? I was just like, boys and girls, life is not about blowing up yourself. It's about blowing up your self-esteem. Huh? Say it with me. Yes,
how do you know they're already against you? Is it just their expression?
Oh, I mean, they weren't laughing. And they looked angry.
Is there a way to pick it up? When that happened on stage, did you pick it back up, or were you like, oh, let's just get the fuck out of here?
So normally, if it wasn't the pressure, the weight of Saturday Night Live watching me, yeah. But I'm with a bunch of performers, confident people. Everybody was like before. Everybody was wiping the sweat off their head. I mean, this is it's like the cream of the crop. At least at that time, the web, the internet's exploding. People could do things on. But 5 or 6 years ago, however long ago this SNL, and it still is. It's the biggest comedy institution in the world. I mean, Pete Davidson ended up with Kim Kardashian. What more do I have to say?
Right.
It's the biggest thing in the world. And so being that, because I could normally, if something bombs, I could dig my way out.
Yeah.
But boy, I was like, okay. And I powered through it. But in my head, that's another terrible thing. Your brain and your mouth need to be on the same page for comedy to work. My mouth was doing my set, but in my mind, I'm just like, this is it. I blew it. I blew it. And who knows? They could come calling tomorrow. Another email could come. Hey, we want to see you again or whatever, So
I sound like a broken record, but this is one of my favorite things to talk about because it's really changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to kind of like scary tasks, not confusing anxiety and excitement. And there's that viral clip of Dane Cook on a podcast talking about that.
There's a fine line between anxiety and excitement. And it's so fine that you start believing your excitement is anxiety.
And It's true. I view my anxiety as excitement because that's truly what it is.
Yeah.
I'm just so anxious that like, am I going to win or am I going to lose?
Yeah.
And it's really kind of like flip a switch. Usually I'm pretty nervous during a podcast in general. We've had some pretty big guys on. We've had Sneeko on, who's super like YouTube clouded up.
Right.
Now he's kicked off YouTube.
Yeah.
But I wasn't nervous for that show because I'm like, I'm excited.
Yeah.
And then also I've conquered this thing and comedians are great at this.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be so afraid to show myself.
Mm-hmm.
And now I show myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you don't like it, then like there's something wrong with your perspective because I'm not going to dislike you for who you are.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to be my complete self.
Yeah.
Like me or don't like me. If you don't like me, I understand there's some sort of shift. There's a reason in yourself why you don't like me.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, authenticity sells.
Right.
Most people don't realize that. They try to be something they're not. My buddy George Santos, we were on the phone the other day, and he was like, yeah, he goes, I lied about graduating from college. He goes, I should have been proud that I made it this far without college. He goes, but he said to me, he's like, I lied about it, and it really messed me up in a lot of ways, and it caused me a lot of whatever. And I would say, if you look at, because everybody talks about cancel culture, I pay very close attention to who gets canceled, and some celebrities seem pretty much immune, and that's because they're like, this is who I am. If you remember Charlie Sheen when he had his breakdown
With the drugs?
when he was like, Tiger Blood, he's like, are you bipolar? He's like, I'm bi winning. A guy like him was always like, yeah, I date 3 porn stars. I do cocaine. You know what I mean? And so he had a Super Bowl. If you look at his rap sheet, what he's been arrested for, what he's said, what he's done, what he's been on tape, but he's always been like, yeah, I'm a fucking rock star smoking a cigarette.
I like that.
I bang out 7-gram crack rocks. And he got a Super Bowl commercial. So the American people like authenticity, but everybody's so afraid to get canceled. That's why I love the internet, because you don't have a boss.
Yeah.
And I feel like I could breathe,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
There's comedians like Dave Chappelle.
Damn.
And then there's comedians like Kevin Hart, both respectively amazing careers. I love them both.
Yeah.
You know, I look up to them in a lot of different ways. But Kevin Hart is more industry.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle is more like comedian's heart of the streets.
Yeah.
I'll stand up for what's really funny,
Yeah.
even if it's distasteful.
Yeah.
And then now Kevin Hart is hilarious, but he's in the system of family and friendly, which is cool. But that's a decision you have to make further down the road, especially when you get to that size.
Well, if you look at my arms, you can see I've clearly decided the Chappelle route. I'm not trying to get a Disney deal. I don't want the Disney deal.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud that I've been able to stick to my guns, because I could have given up so many times. It's so many times I could have given up, but I didn't. And now that things are working out, I really am proud of myself. But I didn't realize now that things are working out, it's like nonstop work. Nonstop. Like I'm on the phone, I'm wheeling and dealing.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's a lot. But I'm thankful for it. It's like you said, the anxiety and this, but it's
Yeah.
like, but I'm like, this is what I wanted.
What's the biggest turnaround moment where you almost like decided it was quit?
I mean, a million, like that SNL thing. That was a blow, but that wasn't, I don't know. It's just times where I can't think of a specific instance, but I remember what really hurt was one time my mom, this is like 5-6 years ago, she was giving me a ride to the train station. She's like, you've been at this for a while. But I knew, it's like, no, I know I'm funny, but it's just other things getting in the way,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Life happens.
yeah, life
And
happens.
you-
I used to drink a lot more. I used to party a lot more. See, because girls and stuff and booze, and I'm not blaming girl, but I'm just saying I'm blaming myself. When you're in the New York City scene, it's so easy. Like, there are guys who have checked out. I could tell they've given up, but they're getting girls, so they'll perform until they croak to get girls, to party, to drink. Something in me flipped where I'm like, okay, forget alcohol. Alcohol will when we party, when we succeed. Getting laid, all that stuff prevents people. It clouds people's mind. You could do that when you're a star. you know? And that's that.
How many do comedians get? A lot of girls?
I don't want to sound like cocky, but yes.
That's dope. Girls like funny guys. I'm scared of, because listen, I can be funny, but I'm alternate funny, and I haven't like honed in on what makes me funny sometimes.
Yeah.
So the podcast, I'm goofy. I'm more so goofy.
Yeah.
Like I could be next to a really funny person and have a really good time.
Yeah.
I'm scared of funny guys, because a funny guy at work starts to
Right.
get close to your girl. Maybe he's a 5. Maybe he's just not very good looking,
Right.
but he'll do it.
It's definitely a cheat code to life in general. But you got to think about, a lot of people are funny because, I don't know, maybe something like, I don't know, things happened in life, and I don't know. I don't know where I line up on that. Like, I do
How many girls are you fucking, Jason?
currently 0, but over the course of my life, it's up there. You could say triple digits. But
Oh,
yeah. But
comedians do fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, okay, let me give you a good thing here.
I like it.
About 10 years ago, I'm in Broadway Comedy Club, and I'm in the bar. And there's a kid, and he's, he was like popping. He was like, and he was on MTV's Guy Code. He was sitting right there, and he's looking at his phone. His name is Pete Davidson. And I'm sitting across from him, and he's like, people are like, oh, congrats on Guy Code, okay, television. And he's like, oh yeah, it's just for Twitter followers. He's like, every episode that airs, it's like 1,000 new followers. And I remember thinking in my mind, I was like, dude, you're on TV. Everybody wants to be on TV. What are you even talking about Twitter? But he had the right people in his ear. Now he doesn't have a Twitter, but he got SNL. And so a guy like him was very disciplined and focused, and I could tell that he wasn't scrounging around, you know what I mean? Because things were happening, and he had people in his ear. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't bang the waitress. Don't do this. Don't do that stuff. And he didn't. And then he got Kim, once again, like I said before, he got Kim Kardashian. So the thing is, if you hold off on the partying and everything for a while, when you get to a certain level, you could live like a king.
I had a 420 episode, which was the last episode I recorded.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't gotten high for about 5 months, and I got high on the episode with a couple, goated up Zaza goats.
Okay.
It was a good time.
Nice.
But I was talking about how this podcast wouldn't have been possible if I kept smoking weed the way I did,
See?
because I was so happy and complacent, which is great.
Yeah.
If you need to be happy in your situation,
Sure.
fuck yeah.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have been able to dream chase.
Yeah.
I'd be so happy with just being high and having 100 listeners.
Right.
Cool. My friends listen
But
to
you
me.
think you're happy, but were you really happy?
Well, as
deep
soon as the
down?
high worn off, no.
You realize you weren't fulfilled.
Yeah, I'd be like, how am I going to stop smoking so much?
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of people tell themselves they're happy,
right.
but they're not. I think the key to happiness is living to your full potential. And full potential is many different things to many different people. But if you're not living to your full potential, you're not going to be happy. And that'll manifest itself in different ways.
There's this, it's in Japanese, it's called Kaizen or Kaizen. And I can't remember exactly what it's translated into in English, but the meaning behind it is constant improvement. If you wake up every day with the goal of constant improvement, you will succeed you'll have this like happiness. You'll walk with this certain happiness that you'll feel invincible. Not invincible in a I can't die way, or I don't bleed, nobody can hurt me. But if I'm always improving the friendships around me, if I'm always improving my fitness, my health, if I'm always improving my dream, I'm invincible. Nothing can truly hurt me. Of course, there's events that can, but
Right. But it's the
Kaizen.
power of the mental.
yeah,
The mental is everything.
right. Everybody gets those roles, those weeks or sometimes months where
Yeah.
you're in a roll.
Yeah.
Your health is right.
Yeah.
Your career is like doing what you kind of was expecting it to do, and you're just like, fuck. And then the next couple months, you start smoking a little weed.
Right.
There's a
Yeah,
love
you got to
interest.
stay with it.
Yeah.
The love interest, that's a girlfriend and everything. And right now, like I said, single, I don't have time. I don't have time for any of that stuff. And momentum is so important.
Yeah.
But because I do so much Trump and Biden political stuff, and I've set myself up in a really good position because, like you said, the election is heating up. It's next year, but the debates are going to happen. Everything. Who knows what's going to happen? Trump is on trial. It's just, I'm like kind of following it wherever it goes, wherever the story goes. I'll have that to play with, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, politics is a good thing to follow and a good thing to make a mockery of because a lot of people are warped into that world and they can't get out of it. So when they do see something funny that makes them feel a little bit better about it,
right,
they might get warped into
and just
your
loosen up. Exactly, and just loosen up.
You've probably gained more. I think you've had a better campaign for Trump than Trump could have ever.
I do see a lot of comments. People are like, "Oh man, I think I like Trump now." Because my friend Ron was like, "You humanize him and call it whatever you want," but I just do my thing. And if people, one of my missions, I guess, is to loosen people up, because people have such, like, a friend of mine said a great thing about Trump. He goes, Trump is the most beloved, hated person on the planet. He goes, people either love him or they hate his guts. There's almost no in between. And just in politics in general, I find a lot of people who dedicate their life to politics, there's some other underlying thing going on. Like I said before, if you're not fully happy, it manifests itself in other ways. And it could be just watching Fox News or just watching MSNBC and talking about it constantly. And, and it's like, and it's so divisive. And both sides are playing the same game. Those guys are the bad guys. We're the good guy. But you're saying they're the bad guys so you could hide what you're doing right here. Look over there. And both sides are doing that. Mm-hmm. So I think, go outside, pet your dog, go jogging, turn off cable news.
Yeah. And turn on the Wet Slap.
Yes.
The Wet Slap podcast.
That's right. And the Donald J. Trump podcast.
Yeah. I want you to kind of plug in some of your socials right now before we cut it off. So
sure. So you could follow me on Instagram at Jason Scoop and YouTube and TikTok at Jason Scoop Comedy. And those are the three main places to find me. And a lot of content every single day.
It was amazing having you on. I'm going to see if we can make this mockumentary happen. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe. You fucking bozos. What's going on?
You got to hit like, and you got to, they call it smash, right? Smash the subscription button and hit the notification bell. And you got to do it so strongly. Because the haters and losers, they don't want you to smash that button, but and I learned smash from Barron. He says, Dad, you got to say smash. It's Gen Z. And I have a tremendous relationship with Gen Z that I could tell you. There's one right there. There she is. Unbelievable. And it's great. I've got people getting tattoos. It's tremendous. And smash you got to watch the show. You got to stay informed. And you got to do it so strongly that I could tell you, okay? All the cameras.
So strongly. Thank you guys very much.